If you follow my channel for any length of time, you know that I believe identifying a buy box, looking at it every day and documenting the changes is the key to A, learning average, and B, getting confidence in what you're doing. We have the concierge of small business loans on, Bo Eckstein, and we were sent a question from Richard that I'm going to read because he's going to help us define a buy box for buying a business. Bo, you ready for this?
I am.
All right. So Richard, thank you for this. Can we have an episode where you can get education on how to form a buy box for a business, how to structure the finances for said business? Make it happen, Mike. Thank you for the tremendous value you provide with these videos, opening the door to what is actually possible. I don't think even you realize the life-changing information this potentially could have. So first off, Richard, thank you very much for the nice words. But this is Bo Eckstein's Concierge of Small Business Loan sweet spot. So I'm going to listen and learn just like you. So Bo, the floor is yours.
All right. Great question. So defining your buy box. First, you have to define your criteria. I think that's important, right? Like there's millions of different businesses. So really getting clarity on what business would make the most sense. And quite honestly, that's why I talk about franchises a lot, because you can buy a franchise resale. You can buy, do a franchise startup, and they give you systems and marketing, and it's really like a business in a box. So people transitioning from the W-2 might not know how to run a business. And I think the franchise models for those type of people could be beneficial. Not for everybody, because there are millions of businesses out there right now. And around 2.2 million existing businesses are for sale in the US right now. And
now,
only about...
Bo, quick question on that. So 2.2 million, that's kind of the official number. That's the listed stuff. Don't you just have a sneaky suspicion that it's 10x that size if you really could kind of market directly? Don't you think it's bigger than that, or am I just off?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely bigger than that. I think this is, and I don't know how they compiled this data, but bottom line, let's just say there's 4 million businesses, 2 of them that are marketed, 2 million that are off market.
Okay.
Only 1 in 11 businesses will sell this year. So there's...
Wow.
And the reasons is that the sellers typically are very unorganized and don't have their financials together. And so nobody can make sense of, is this business profitable or not? So there's a huge opportunity for seller financing. There's a huge opportunity to come in and potentially get SBA financing. So I think going back to the question is really like, what are your skills? We got to narrow down the deal specification. And so you also have to, once you start building the buy box, you have to be able to say no quickly, right? Because you're going to define this buy box, which is going to take some time. And I have some recommended reading, because like building your buy box for rental properties, it's not like it's going to happen today and tomorrow. You have to go through training, right? That's why Zuber has the training that he tells you this is how you should go about looking at building a buy box. It's not something I can magically transpose to you that'll work, but hopefully I give you enough information to like start reading books, understanding.
Yeah. Let's poke at this together, because obviously I know what I talk about a buy box for real estate. And I think there's 4 or 5 levers that we could pull that I think play in small business. Now, they're not going to be in detail, but I think it could help people get started. You ready for this?
Yes.
So in real estate, one of the first things you think about is what area, right? I started in the Bay Area. That didn't work for a year. Then I chose Fresno, California. So I have to imagine when you're setting your buy box to buy a business, there has to be some location aspect of that, I would imagine. True?
Unless it's an e-com business, then it could be done
good
anywhere.
point.
So it does have different challenges. That's why I think it
Well
takes
said.
a little bit. The buy box is a little bit harder to define. I think leveraging. I think the number one thing in buying a business is leveraging you, recognizing your strengths and areas of expertise. That will help you enhance deal identification. And what are you passionate for? Like, what do you understand from a business perspective?
Yeah.
So I think that's a component that's very challenging. And that's oftentimes why I keep on referencing back to the franchise industry, because they use a specific assessment, like a DISC profile, but it's specific for business ownership. So I actually have everybody take this. It's called a Zoracle profile.
What is it? Zoracle? Zoracle?
Yeah. Okay. And so I have everybody, and it shows the skill sets. It shows all the things that you probably already know, but it puts it out just like a disc profile. Well,
Okay.
and then the way matching is done in businesses is really like what skill sets do you have, what sectors do you like, and then you find a match from there. Because it's challenging to take somebody from the streets and say, okay, I'm going from W-2 and I'm going to own a business, right? Like, because
Yeah.
a lot of people think, oh, I want to own a brick and mortar coffee shop.
Sure.
Well,
Sure.
that's probably not the right fit. So I think leveraging you, there's also types of deals, right? There's acquisitions, there's partnerships, there's joint ventures. Just like in real estate, there's different ways you can do this. So maybe your son or daughter will be the operator and you're investing in that business. So that's where you start really defining.
Let me ask about this. Let me ask about this Zoracle thing. Is that I don't know. I've never seen it, never heard of it first time. Is this something people have to pay to take and then they get kind of a fancy score, or do you send them a link and then you score it, or how does this all work?
So I have a link for it. I didn't create the Zoracle profile. They go to it, they take it, they select to get a copy of it, and then I get a copy of it. So,
okay, so there's some charge for that, I'm guessing.
No, it's free.
Oh, it's free. Well, one of the things we should definitely talk about then is people should reach out to you, schedule the 15 minutes, but I think we should get some people taking the Zoracle, and we could kind of, you know what, folks, if you want to take this Zoracle thing, just so we can look at it, Bo will get a copy. Maybe he and I could talk. We'll blank out the names, but I'd love to see a few of these. So if you want to do that, reach out to Bo, leave a comment below. And, of course we will keep your identity secret, but I'd love to see some real life scores. That'd be fun.
Yeah. It really, it shows your skills as a promoter. If you score very low, it's probably you're not going to be in some business that you have to do sales.
Yeah.
Right. And so aligning the business with the skill set is the most challenging part. So even if you don't want to do a franchise startup or a resale, I always have people do this because it's going to tell us a lot. And we're going to walk through. It shows splatter part. There's certain things that it will identify like that are like, your big splatter is security. So we dive into that. What about this is, and that uncovers the business models that would align with you. I mean, I think really coming down to it, what you got to remember this, you're going to own this house, you're going to own this business. And it's not like you can just close your eyes and it's going to be gone. So you're buying something that's living, breathing, that you're going to have employees that you're going to have to worry about. And we've all made mistakes buying houses before, right? Like I bought one in Pennsylvania last year and I made a mistake. I shouldn't have bought that one. Like now I know because I didn't do what I normally do. And I was in a rush to close and I didn't vet out the property manager the way I should have. And I'm paying the price for that. But luckily, real estate's forgiving and you can work things out. So with a business, it's a living, breathing thing. So I would recommend, the first thing I would recommend is you read a couple books.
Okay.
Buy Then Build by Walker Diebel. How to Buy a Business Without Being Had, Successfully Negotiating the Purchase of a Small Business by Jack Gibson.
Okay.
And let's see which other one I liked. And then well, let's just start with two books. I don't want to overwhelm you. Buy Then Build and How to Buy a Business Without Being Had by Jack Gibson. I think those would be two good books to start if you're serious. If you're not serious, then don't buy the books. It means you're not serious.
Yeah.
But I
think that's a good test. Yeah.
So what I'm doing right now, because all of a sudden, so I want to rewind my story a little bit. So I've been in lending for 25 years. I've flipped houses. I own rental properties. And then I got crushed in the downturn. After the downturn, I got into hard money lending. I did a lot of fix and flip loans throughout the Bay Area. And then I was like, hey, I can flip houses. I started flipping houses. And then fast forward about 12 years ago, I got into commercial lending. And then about 6 years ago, I got into SBA financing. And people would call me and they're like, hey, I want to buy a business. I want to know more about SBA financing. I started asking them questions like, well, what kind of business? Nobody had a clue. So what I'm doing right now, because nobody has a clue, is I'm trying to figure this out. And I'm creating a framework to help people identify a business to buy, because it is a challenging thing. And I don't want people to make mistakes. We're all going to have certain mistakes as we're learning, but I'm creating a framework and a system that will allow to help people really figure out, is business ownership right for you and what type of business? And I think creating a plan for that is just like you do for the buy box and one rental at a time, is so critical. And I'm using your framework the same way, just in this realm.
Yeah.
And it's dead on because people want to do this. I get so many people. I had a call from yesterday with a one rental listener, and she's owns a couple rental properties. She loves your podcast, obviously, and she just doesn't know where to start.
Right.
And so I'm excited to watch these people journey into figuring out. So let me kind of dive into a few more actionable things real quick.
Please.
So obviously, take advantage of resources and guides to educate yourself about the process. Listening to podcasts. I gave you those 2 books. Use technology platforms like BizBuySell to conduct specific business searches as you're defining your buy box, because but I think you want to go into BizBuySell with intention and search specific, because we're just going to spin our wheels. Set a budget and consider financing options for the purchase. So here, this is when you have a call with me and I go, okay, this is how the financing works. Let's just say, for example, let's just say you're buying an HVAC company and it's a franchise startup. The total project cost would be, franchise fee, working capital. You need 2 trucks, leases. You need space. You need $60,000 in working capital for the first 12 months. That total project cost is $150,000. This is a real case study I'm talking about, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman had limited cash, but with SBA, it's designed to help small business owners or potential owners. So for $15,000, that's his equity injection. He's got the reserves built into the loan. So assuming he could follow the system and make this business thrive, he's going to, get away from his $50,000 a year job and now become a business owner, where these companies, the top 25% of this franchise, is doing, 2, 3 million, 4 million in top line revenue.
Gross. Yeah.
Right. So for 15K, so understanding how to finance and structure is a huge part of this. So that's why I always do, like, if you want to
that's why you're here. Buying a business is getting sexy because of Cody Sanchez. Let's not get it twisted. She is highlighting the power of small businesses, which is awesome. But you are the concierge to small business loans. You talk about how to get in for a little bit. You talk about structure. You have the avenues. You help people figure out which path. There's all these freaking acronyms that I still can't remember, 14B or 17C or whatever the hell they're called. That's why you're here. I got a bunch of people that want to do it. I got a bunch of people that are willing to focus, but they need the experts. And it ain't me. And I promise you this, it will never be me. That's why you're here.
Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the calls I get. I have one guy, he's a dog trainer and he's pretty successful. He's been in operation. Now I'm helping him. He's surveying his property. He has 26 acres. He's in on the East Coast somewhere. And we're splitting his lot, and we're going to carve out 6 acres. We're going to build a dog training facility. It's going to be about 800,000, right? So like, he's going to double and triple his revenue. He's already doing well, but we're going to make it like, this is the power, right? And using the financing. I have another deal in San Francisco, which is a struggle, but I'm going to get it done. It's a $14 million deal, and it's going to be, I can't wait to get it done and put my name on it and say, hey, I funded that deal. Franchises, we have a bunch of franchises. We're doing an SBA 504 for a guy who's leasing land from an airport, and he's building hangars. And that's going to be a $20 million project. I have a couple $150,000 projects, right? Like, if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
I just got a referral from somebody, and there's a lender that specializes in franchise. They're not the lender. They're kind of like a resource, and they do all the stuff. They turn this guy down, and I'm like going to get the loan done. And that's what I like doing, right? Like, I love to like figure out, there's always a way to figure out how to structure these deals. And then, how do you get in the deals if you have very little capital, right? You don't want to over leverage yourself, but I get it. Like, you want to buy this business. It does have a cash flow stream, but you might be limited on capital. So how do we create structures to get in with very little capital? But I always want you to understand, there's going to be times like you think you're going to take this business over. Well, there could be 50 grand of work that needs to be done on this, restaurant or this commercial property. So being aligned with that, but to circle back on the question is defining the buy box is a little bit more challenging. So I'm actually working on building a framework in which I can help. And I think whether you want to buy a business, an existing business, It all starts with taking the franchise assessment or the Zoracle profile, even if
I
you want to
agree.
buy an existing business, because when we review that, we can really talk about your strengths and weaknesses and like what would be really
I
good for you to operate.
I agree, 100%. Right now, buying a business is like this big kind of thing, blob, and we don't know where to look. And it all looks possible, but we don't know where to look. I think this Zoracle is a way to go, hey, let's look there and look here. Then people come to you and you have the expertise of looking at hundreds of these, and you could even help them frame further. So how would people reach out to you to schedule a call to get this Zoracle link so that people can figure out what maybe they should focus on?
You can go to boeckstein.biz and you see one rental at a time, and you can click on that and schedule a call. And also on that same calendar link or that same link, there's a franchise event. Click on that if you want to come to a live event virtually. It's free. It's September 26th. And
Nice.
and you can listen to 5 semi-passive franchise models. So I'm trying to educate people. There's no strings attached. You come listen, at least you get some ideas of like different business models. Because I love understanding business models, even real estate, wholesalers,
Yeah.
flippers, long-term rentals, multifamily, right? Same thing with business ownership.
That's awesome. Again, he is the concierge of small business loans, folks. If you have an idea, you want to ask some questions, boeckstein.biz, schedule your 15-minute call. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.